Chapter 2, an introduction to cost terms and purposes, variable and fixed costs, and interpreting unit costs. So we're going to look at variable costs and fixed costs, and then talk about how to interpret unit costs a little bit. And we just finished defining cost objects and looking at the difference, this direct versus indirect costs. So then we'll do variable and fixed, and then we move on to inventory costs. Okay, in the chapter, the big thing you'll have to work on in here is a full financial statement with inventory costs on it, work in process, etc. So cost behavior defines how costs change. Okay, that's what we mean by behavior. Fixed costs will change per unit with a change of activity, and costs are fixed or variable for specific activity that refers to a time period. So when we think about this, that variable costs in total, okay, they change in total in proportion to changes in the related level of activity or volume of output produced. So what we're saying here is that it is it is proportional in total. Okay, so when you see a change in activity, you should see a change in the variable costs. Now, fixed costs will remain unchanged in total for a time period, okay, but individually by unit they will change. Okay, if you look at variable costs by unit, they don't change. All right, so it'll be just the opposite in here. And costs are fixed or variable for specific activity and or for a given time period. Okay. Now, when considering variable and fixed costs, it's very important to know if you're looking at the costs in total or per unit. That's what you've got to watch out for. Variable costs change in total in proportion to the changes in the related level of activity or volume of output produced. Okay, fixed costs remain unchanged in total for a time period given changes in the related level of activity or the volume of output produced. Okay, and fixed costs will change inversely with the level of production. As more units are produced, the same fixed cost is spread over more and more units, so it reduces the cost per unit. And when I get questions on this, or when I have to really think about it, I'll draw a picture. I'll draw a graph, and that'll keep me straight. Now, cost behavior summarized, here we've got total dollars and then the cost per unit. So variable cost changes in proportion with output, more cost. So you've got a line that goes like this. Cost per unit is unchanged, that would be flat. Fixed costs, total dollars, unchanged within the relevant range, that stays flat. And cost per unit change inversely. So it starts out really high and then it goes down low. Okay. And these are the graphs. The graphs, I think, are really helpful. These are what's the cost of steering wheels? It's $60 per BMW X6 assembled, and you can see that, I mean, that is definitely, it's a straight line. It varies in direct proportion to changes in volume. Okay, so here's our volume, and there are our dollars, and they just go up. Whereas the fixed costs, this would be supervision costs, that stays the same. Now, in this slide, we consider a few additional concepts that mixed costs contain both fixed and variable elements. Okay, and a cost driver is a variable, such as the level of activity or volume that causes changes in cost over time. Okay, the relevant range is the band or range of normal activity within which the fixed costs would not change. Okay, and finally, the idea that of the relevant range is that at some point of increased production, fixed costs have to increase. You've either got to get more space, hire another, maybe have an entire new plant, okay, a new building. And we've got multiple classifications of cost. We've got direct and indirect and fixed and variable. Okay, and these classifications give you different combinations. We could have direct and variable, or direct and fixed. All right, or indirect and variable, or indirect and fixed. So here, they're using the BMW again. You can see examples of the combinations that can occur for direct, indirect, and variable fixed. So here we've got a direct variable cost would be tires. An indirect variable cost would be power at a plant. Okay? I might think that this is more of a mixed cost, but that's okay. A direct fixed cost would be the salary of a supervisor, and an indirect fixed cost would be the annual lease cost. Okay, indirect fixed. Yeah, because you've got multiple products producing there, so you can't trace it to one unit or one object unless the object is the plant. And we've been discussing how variable costs and fixed costs differ in terms of their unit costs. And for this reason, unit costs should be used cautiously because unit costs change with a different level of output or volume. Okay, because of the fixed cost component, that changes everything. It may be more prudent to base decisions on a total dollar basis. Okay.